Take it away.
Hi, thanks so much, Chloe. Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Lawrence with Advisor Business Solutions, ABS, and we are very excited today to have you join us for this webinar for scaling your internship program with diverse talent. I would just like to open up saying this is meant to be a discussion with myself and Damon, and I would certainly want you to feel free to put any questions in the chat as we go through the session. You don't have to wait to the Q&A section at the very end, and we'll just respond to any of the questions as we move through the different topics. So thank you so much again for joining us. ABS is a founding partner with the BLX program. We started together in the inception year for the first cohort. We've worked with many firms, and our team's role is to actually work with the firms to understand what it is that you're looking for as far as hiring talent is concerned. And then our team works with all of the candidates to align them with whatever the priorities of the firms are and match them up and ideally have firms successfully hire as many interns as they are willing to hire for the summer. We are currently in the application period for next summer, which began on October 1st. It will end December 31st. And we are just meeting the 100 hire mark this year. So we're very excited to look to continue to grow and add more talent to your. We have asked one of our BLX firm executives to join us today to speak with you about their intern program. And I'd like to say thank you to Damon White and introduce him briefly. He is with Evermay Wealth Management. He's the COO and co-founder, which their firm started in 2009. As the COO, Damon ensures efficient business operations, effective allocation of resources, adherence to regulations, while prioritizing client experience and optimizing processes. Damon plays a key role in the firm's overall strategic direction and has helped the firm to establish a growth-oriented culture. He's a results-driven leader whose strategic mindset and analytic approach are crucial to Evermay's ongoing success. Damon, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Suzanne. Appreciate it and happy to be here.
Fantastic. So Damon, I think that we should just hop right into it. And we'd love for you to share a few of your key reasons for having an internship program. What are some of the main reasons why you have one? And tell us a little bit about it.
Sure, I'd be happy to jump right in, and thanks again for that introduction. So a little kind of additional background on our firm. As Suzanne mentioned, we were founded in 2009, and we've kind of grown over the past 15 years. We recently just celebrated passing the 1 billion assets in management milestone. And as we've gone through this process, one of the things that we've learned is that interns are really quite beneficial to the firm. When I was figuring out what I wanted to be or do when I grew up, I didn't even necessarily know that this industry really existed, to be honest with you. So for me, for one, it's an ability to give back. I think this is a tremendous industry. It can be very rewarding. And just to help with the awareness, to let folks in school know that, hey, this is a great industry. It's out here. It's growing. We're looking for people. And I would say the other reason, and this is a little bit selfish, but it's an amazing opportunity to evaluate someone for basically an 8-week paid internship. And then after that time, you can decide, hey, is this person a great fit for our firm and our culture? And do we want to hire them? So it really allows us an opportunity to kind of vet potential future hires. So in that way, it's been really kind of beneficial for us as well, hopefully for the folks who come through our program.
That's fantastic. I'm just curious what type of criteria that you use when you're deciding what you want interns to do, to learn, and has it changed since you started hiring interns?
Well, we definitely put our interns to work, and I would say what has changed over the years is that we used to look at all years in school. I would say lately we more so focus on rising seniors. We've had a lot of success with those that are getting closer to graduation and then potentially hiring them at the end of their internship or during their senior year. So that's something that we've kind of leaned toward. And the other thing that we've really done, which has been beneficial, is certain schools. I went to University of Virginia. As hard as it is for me to say this, Virginia Tech, which is our rival, has a very good financial planning program where the kids in that program are able to sit for their CFP. So you're getting students who really are already certain that this is the field that they want to be in. So it allows you to really kind of hit the ground running with your candidates, with your interns. And I would say that's something that we focus on, not just necessarily that school, but again, through BLX, et cetera, just working with kids or trying to identify kids who have decided that this is the field that they think they really want to pursue, as opposed to those who aren't really sure. So I would say we've kind of leaned more towards seniors and then also kids who are somewhat certain that this is the field that they want to pursue.
And did you come to that conclusion because you tried something differently before?
Yes, it has been a little bit of trial over the years, and through some of the different summers, we've taken on folks who weren't really sure that they wanted to be in the industry, who didn't necessarily, have the aptitude that we had hoped for financial services and wealth management. So it has been a little bit of trial and error over the years. We feel like from that we've been able to kind of refine our program and really kind of target and focus on those that we think would get the most out of our program, and then also would allow us to get the most out of our interns and our internship program.
So it sounds like it's essentially evolved from what you originally were looking to do, and then had some sense of maybe we need to shift in a different direction.
It has evolved and it continues to evolve. And the one thing that I would like to do is be able to hire even more interns. With 22 people at our firm, we usually hire 2 or 3 interns. And the other thing that I've really found is the interns, there's also a lot of benefit to having maybe a couple or 3 because they work off of each other, which I think that is very beneficial for them. So as we've grown, we've tried to increase the number of interns that we hire every year. But it's all evolving and continues to evolve and be refined. But through the years that we've been doing this, we feel really strong about our program, and it's certainly helped our firm grow and be able to identify and ultimately recruit and hire talent.
And is that one of your goals as well? Are you looking to hire the summer interns who are closer to graduation, uh, so that you could potentially offer them a position, post the internship?
Ideally, yes, that is the goal. It doesn't always play out that way. Sometimes we have a need, sometimes we don't have a need, but
Mhm.
um, we like to ideally be working with those that are in their senior year or moving towards their senior year, so that if there is an opportunity, they are more available to be hired than, say, someone who just completed their first year and is moving on to their sophomore year.
Okay.
So
No,
it is something strategic that we have tried to employ in the last few years of the program.
that's I feel something very um, common that we're finding, that firms that are looking at seniors are also making decisions. Is that something that they're hoping that they can hire on right after the
Yes.
internship, or in some cases they actually might want to make arrangements that the intern does come back again until they have made a decision when they're actually ready and there's a budget allocated to do that hire. So but we're excited to hear that that is what some of the planning is that happens in the earlier part of your internship program for the next year. So appreciate that. So let's talk a couple of minutes about how you prepare for the internship program, ahead of summer. What are some of the decisions that are made for what the interns will be doing? What, sort of is your timeline that you want to have interns? What goes into the planning ahead of time, and what it is that they're actually going to be doing.
Sure, that's a great question. Typically, we start interviewing interns as early as December for the upcoming summer. I would say the majority of our interviewing typically takes place February, kind of March time period. Um, and I can't take credit for what you see here, but this is our intern agenda for summer of 2024. I work in conjunction with our director of operations, and she is kind of the hands-on boots on the ground person who oversees the day-to-day of the program. But for us, it's been very important to just have a structured program so that the interns are aware of what they'll be doing and kind of what they can expect from us. The other thing that it allows us to do is to get buy-in from folks at the firm, which I feel is extremely important. So as we build out our calendar, we speak with the advisors and we ask them to be willing to commit some time to spend with the interns. Our director of research on the investment side, we ask him to carve out some time to spend with the interns. So you'll see here, for example, week one, we have investments, and lucky for our interns, we were in the process of converting CRM systems. So you'll see throughout several of these weeks, we actually put them to work and had them help us with some of the conversion from our CRM system to a new system. We also, which I thought was kind of fun, and we started doing this the past few years. You'll see in week two under CRM, another thing that we've done is we have we give them basically a notional fictitious $1 million portfolio. And we have a contest to see who does better through the 8 weeks of the summer investing. And they get to, again, spend time with our director of research and vet kind of different investment ideas. And at the end of the summer, we take a look at their portfolios and see who basically did the best. So we try to, I've just found that having a bit of structure just makes everything go that much more smoothly, and it really helps us and the interns get the most out of our program. And this again is an example of what our director of operations put together to provide that structure for our interns over their 8 week summer internship with us.
So the order that you're showing us here, week one, to week, it probably ends at week 8. Is that arranged based on the availability of the team, of the staff that they'll be working with? Or is there a different, way that you map out which area they'll be learning?
It's kind of a little bit of a combination of both. It certainly is to a large extent based on the availability of the staff. Again, keeping in mind this is a summer internship, so we generally have the full-time staff is, that's vacation time for them. So we do at times need to build a schedule around certain professionals. For example, week one was heavy on the investments because I believe at the time our director of research was out, I think the following week. So it is a little bit of both. I mean, we have a general structure. You'll see in this that CRM is carried through several weeks, and it was because there was quite a bit of work and we wanted to get started on that portion of the internship early. So I would say that was kind of like the core. And then what we did was backfill some of these other areas, like working on Tamarack, marketing. Of course, week 8, we kind of built that around kind of what the core was, which in this case was the CRM piece. But yes, um, folks who agree to participate with the interns, we certainly try to work around their schedules as well. And investments being week 1 would be an example of us doing that.
You also seem to have a theme of tech in a lot of these areas that you had the interns working with.
We do. That was almost kind of a little bit by happenstance, just because we were so heavy in the CRM conversion. But one thing that we found, and maybe this is a little bit of an overgeneralization, but young folks are usually very strong with tech, and that was the case with our 2 interns from this past summer. And the work that they did with Excel and VLOOKUPs and moving around data and we were tracking down all of our different contacts and just seeing, who was referred by whom and who was referred by, our different centers of influence. And they really were instrumental in helping us kind of manipulate some of that data to then get it ultimately populated into our new CRM. But yeah, I mean, they were both really kind of technologically savvy. So it was kind of a situation where we were kind of making use of some of their strengths.
And one of the questions that we get often is, and this is usually in the early discussions when firms are signing up and talking with our team, they sometimes ask about the software. There's sort of a question of, well, how do we get them, so they can use the licensed, account. And I'm just curious, how do you address that? What is the way that you have, solved that
Yeah.
dilemma that the firms sometimes bring
Mhm.
up?
So that is a little bit tricky, because we've done this for a number of years. I feel like we have a pretty good handle on it. One of the software providers that we use on the investment side is FactSet. FactSet does allow for intern licenses, so
Mm.
we will add those intern licenses for the summer. Um, I don't know the exact specifics of Tamarack, but that is a one that we use very heavily, and that was one that was our CRM system. But we added them as additional users with limits. The great thing about Tamarack is you can kind of put governors on what folks are allowed to do in the system. So we were able to allow them very specific access and work through the software. Now, there's also um, the need to train them on the software. And, we had fortunately very, very quick studies. And we also have a director of operations who knows Tamarack inside and out. So she was able to get them up and running fairly quickly. And then the last piece was the Thinkorswim software that we use for the fictitious $1 million trading contest, and that seemed to be more or less kind of self-explanatory. But our director of research and trading helped them with that. But that's definitely a serious consideration. And as you I would suggest as you build out your program again, which is why it's so important to kind of really think it through, to make sure that the vendors that you are using, if you need to have your interns up on different software, to make sure that it's possible that you can add them as additional users, and ideally with an ability to, control what level of access they have to the system.
That's really helpful information, because I would say that's probably one consistent recurring question that we do get from some of the firms who
Mhm.
want to give access, but they're not, really sure, how to approach it. What are some of the things that maybe they can look into. Having, an intern access capability is really huge. And I think that, just having solutions for some of those areas that could be so beneficial during, the time period that you have the interns really does help, both the firms have more ability to help the interns to get exposure, as well
Mhm.
as potentially learning some things that maybe they just never have had the bandwidth, if you will,
Yes,
to let someone, do deeper dives in some of the project areas. So,
yes.
congrats to you and your team for being able to come up with some really viable solutions.
Yeah, I mean, what has worked well for us is just we've built out different user groups. So we have an intern user group, and that's really been helpful in providing them a level of access, not unfettered access, to allow them to get done what it is that we need them to work on for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I just saw a question come in the chat. Says, Damon, have you also worked with remote interns virtually? If so, what was that experience like compared to in person?
So that is one thing that we have not done. Although we have some folks who work partially remotely here, we have felt fairly strongly that it's just easier for us in the way that we are set up to have the interns be here on site. That's not to preclude having remote interns. I think that we could do that, but we just have always preferred to have our interns on site so they can meet people, be very hands-on. If they have a question, instead of, being uncertain of what to do at home, they can just go come up to one of us and ask for further clarification. So for us, we've really only ever done it in person, but I don't think we would be opposed to doing remote internships, but it's just not a bridge that we have crossed just yet at this point in our evolution of our program.
And one of the things that we have seen as far as, participating firms over the last several years is there was initially, because it was, 2020, 2021, the first year, the pandemic was still, raging, and pretty much all of the first cohort was done remotely. But as the years have moved forward, we are seeing that firms are now looking for in person, um, almost 50% of the time in comparison to earlier years. So, um, if you do have either in person office staff, as well as some people working, remotely, we're seeing a lot of hybrid
Mhm.
arrangements now. That's really, pretty much almost everywhere right now. There's some degree of some staff coming in, some staff is working from home and maybe coming into the office once or twice a week. Um, how might you just maybe point out if you're working with staff, in that 8-week period that are hybrid? How do you work with that scheduling?
So we use the Microsoft Teams software quite extensively. So even if someone is working remotely, we would just generally do a video call through Teams. So that way, for example, even if one of our advisors was working from home, but they knew from 2 to 3 p.m. they were scheduled to meet with the interns and share a little bit about what it is that they do. Instead of it being an in-person meeting, it would simply be a Microsoft Teams virtual meeting. So we did have a fair amount of that. Also, especially with it being summer and sometimes folks were remote on Fridays and things like that. So yeah, definitely. If it was something that wasn't able to be done in person, we relied pretty heavily on Microsoft Teams to continue with our schedule and our cadence and just make those meetings virtual instead of in person.
Very good. It's
Yeah.
absolutely, just a way that everyone's trying to work,
Yeah.
through the different scheduling. And,
Yes.
if they're working from home, like you said, Fridays for sure, that's
Yeah.
probably the number one day that a lot of people will prefer to work from home or work from wherever they're going
Yes,
for the
exactly.
weekend. They're going to work, but they'll be at the lake, at the lake house or
Exactly, but it does, I mean, again, it speaks to the importance of scheduling and having the schedule built out so that, the advisors know even if I'm not here on Friday at 2 o'clock, I still have this meeting that I need to get on a Teams call for. So that's really why we spend a lot of time on the front end, one, getting buy-in, and then two, actually scheduling out calendars.
very good. Makes perfect sense. So I want to have an idea of what happens at the end of the summer program. You're kind of giving these assignments, the projects. You mentioned the investment, contests that the interns are given. What typically is how you end the last week of the program? What are one or two of the things that happen then?
So for us, it actually culminates in a presentation that the interns give back to the firm. And this is right here an example, or this is the presentation that our summer interns provided. We have everyone come in. It's usually their last day at the firm. And what we ask from them as they go through the summer is to catalog their experiences. And at the end of the summer, they report back to the firm. So this is their PowerPoint presentation back to the firm. This is an abridged and abbreviated version, but it's just to kind of give folks a flavor of some of the things that they worked on. So they spent some time with compliance. They learned about money form links, LPOAs, helping clean out our CRM. We did a bunch of data auditing, as I mentioned. We had a client sense project. We wanted to put in CRM every client, since when had they started with Evermay, because we had that for some of our clients, but not all of our clients. As well as classifying income and expenses. And there was also a capital flows project where we kind of had them look at intergroup flows to make sure that they were being mapped properly. And then again, I won't go through all of these, but these are some other projects that we had them work on as well while they were with us. Again, just to kind of give you a flavor. There was some scanning. They put this file on, or this slide on here. We did, as I mentioned, we were moving to our CRM, so we did have some scanning of files into the new CRM system. So they put that on here as well. One of the things that we had them do was look at a portfolio management software, Alpha Sense. We were looking at some software that could help us. We manage an individual equity portfolio. So our director of research and trading had them do a little bit of analysis on Alpha Sense and if that's something that we thought might be able to be incorporated in our portfolio management system. They met with the different advisors at the firm. Joni played the flute. That's why you kind of see that flute there. I think Mitch is big into hockey, so you see the hockey stick there. And Andy has this crock pot that he uses sometimes. So that was all the interns just adding their own little kind of flair to the presentation. But you can see some of the things here. Joni, for example, she sat down with them and went through some of our tax planning, how we use Holistiplan, and then also explaining the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act to them. Again, these are some other advisors, and then again, them sharing some of their takeaways and the time that they spent with some of the other advisors here at the firm. So again, this is an abbreviated version, but they also had some slides on their investment contest and how that went. So, really it's what we ask back from them at the end of the summer is to really kind of put together a fairly meaty presentation. It generally runs about an hour and 15, where they kind of go through everything that they learned through the summer. And at the end, there's a Q&A where we get to ask them questions, which is kind of fun as well. So that's our big kind of wrap up of the summer with the interns.
And are they giving that presentation to, a few people? Is it, firm-wide?
It's a big deal at the firm. It's generally everyone at the firm. Most of us are located here in the Arlington headquarters. So for the folks in Arlington, it's usually in person, and then we have a couple other offices, and they will dial in. So it's a pretty big deal. It's usually the entire firm that wants to see their end of summer presentation. It's become like a rite of passage, I guess I'd say.
Well, it certainly looks like a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of fun. I think that they have a lot of fun putting it together, and they also kind of feed off one another when they do the presentation, and a little bit of friendly competition with the investment contest as well, and bragging rights for the winner.
So how important is it to have the interns working with different team members? What's your, sort of view on that?
I think it's good for the interns, just because we have a fair number of advisors and they approach things differently, and it feels to me that they get a lot out of being able to see the different styles of the different advisors. So I mean, we try to get everyone to participate, depending on their schedule and their availability, but I feel like it's a richer experience if the more people that we can kind of get from the firm to participate in the summer program. And speaking of the evolution in the program early on, not everyone did participate, and now everyone is very anxious to participate and spend time with the interns, and we've made it important. We've made it a priority from, kind of senior management on down. So I think that helps as well, just kind of reiterating to the firm the importance of the interns, and, them seeing over the years us hiring folks. I mean, it truly is an 8-week interview process. So, it's good for everyone to have some input and some thoughts at the end of the summer. Again, if there's an opening, do we think this person or these folks are good long-term fits with the firm?
No, that's fantastic. I'm curious if you do any kind of performance evaluation or, exit interview. Do you do anything that's, sort of a feedback session?
Sure. We don't do a performance evaluation, but we do perform an exit interview, and that's generally with our director of operations. And we want feedback from them. We want them to know how the summer went in their opinion, what they like, what they didn't like, what we could tweak, what we could change, what we could improve. So we are looking for that feedback from them. I would say probably one area where we maybe could improve is also giving them feedback for, their future endeavors. But we do, as part of that kind of wrap up, conduct an exit interview as well, and then we take that feedback to try to improve the program.
Good. Now, have you experienced any challenges that you know, needed to address? If so, what did you experience?
I mean, fortunately for us, I feel like our programs have run pretty smoothly. I kind of already mentioned this, but I would say in the beginning, one of the challenges was just making sure that we had enough folks at the firm participating in the program to make it, kind of an enriching experience. We don't really have that issue anymore. Um, you know, Other than that, I would say maybe just logistical. I mentioned that we like to have folks here in person, so we've had folks really kind of across the country come and intern with us. So it's more so been a logistical issue of just trying to make sure that, if they need help with figuring out a place to stay. Fortunately for us, Georgetown is right nearby, and also George Washington, and they actually provide housing for summer students. So I know some of our students have taken advantage of that in the past, but really, kind of outside of the logistics and just making sure that we have enough internal participation. I mean, those have been some of our struggles from time to time, but I would say really not so much anymore. Now, again, now that we've been doing this for several years, and we know, hey, call this person at Georgetown, call this person at George Washington for housing, and again, going around and making sure that we have adequate folks ready to kind of participate in the different weeks of the program.
Do you have, any tips for what you feel will help firms have a successful experience?
Um, I would say again, I mean, internal buy-in is extremely important. You want everyone to want to make this program a successful program. Um, Spend your time vetting your applicants. Look for ones that you think would be a good fit. Look for ones that you think would have an aptitude to do whatever work it is that you want them to do. If it's more kind of technological versus if it's more kind of it's a person oriented type position, but really try and just spend some time as you interview candidates. And we get quite a few resumes. We interview a lot of candidates, and we kind of narrow it down and really kind of go with the ones that we think are best fit for our program, and best fit with the culture of our firm, because again, we're looking for folks who possibly we can hire for the long term. So I would say, just be willing to invest the time on the front end, vetting candidates, and then also, again, just making sure that you have a structured program. So that way, I really feel like it helps you kind of get the best out of or the most out of your summer internship and your summer interns.
Very good. Do you have any specific takeaways that you want the interns to have after working with your firm?
Um, there are a couple. One, as much as I mentioned that it's an opportunity for us to kind of interview them over 8 weeks, it's also an opportunity for them to interview us, and they can decide if they think that this is a good fit for them. So ideally, at the end of the summer, I would like them to have the takeaway of, hey, this is a firm that I can see myself at, or for whatever reason, hey, this is a firm that I can't see myself at. I would like them to have that takeaway. And additionally, um, it's great if they come and spend the summer and know that this is what they want to do, or in some instances know that this is what they don't want to do, because I think that is just as important. But having a fulfilling experience and really getting to feel like you really learned about what this industry is and what this job is day in and day out, and really deciding if this is the industry you want to be in. I would say those to me are really the two key takeaways that I like for the interns to have, because I think it's helpful for them in the long run as they're kind of deciding, what is it that they want to do with their career going forward.
And is there a element of, having some fun, having, it is summer, it's, potentially a whole new experience, meeting people.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think we kind of take for granted sometimes, it could be a little bit intimidating for someone who's in school, who's coming into this firm, who doesn't know anyone, who in some cases is not even familiar with this part of the country. So we do have work for them to do, but at the same time, we do try to make it fun. We go to nationals games. We have different kind of gatherings when we can. And again, I can't take a whole lot of credit for that. Our director of operations really goes out of her way to make sure that it is a rewarding and also fun experience for our interns. And I think that's important as well. And it is the summer and we do want them to enjoy themselves. And, when the summer is over, we want them to potentially think about coming back when they finish up school. So yeah, when and where we can, we come up with different fun things to do. We've gone to Bolero in the past, which is it's like a video game and bowling alley venue. So just kind of different things like that. You just kind of keep it light, keep it fun for the interns as well.
And is that sometimes planned, in the evenings, or is that, during work hours? Like, how do you balance that out?
It's usually planned in the early evening, and actually sometimes on the weekends for those who are willing and wanting and able to. I think the baseball game that we went to was on a Saturday. But yeah, it will usually be early evening or on a Saturday. It's not generally a whole lot that it's during the workday, at least for us anyway.
Okay, but that's fair. I mean, it's
Yeah.
still making plans to have them involved or, engage with the group if
Yeah.
they so choose to join.
Yeah, I mean, we want them to feel like a part of the team, even if it is for only for the summer. And we have a nice group. We have a group that likes to go out and do things together. So um, we want them. I mean, I view that as part of the overall program and really getting a feel for the organization. And again, is this someplace where I can see myself? So yeah, I think to the extent that we can do things outside of work, and it's not only good for the interns, it's good for the rest of the team as well to get to spend some time together outside of the office. So we do. We try to have two events in the summer that include the interns, and it's something that's it's hard to quantify what that does, but it just feels very additive to what it is that we're trying to do.
That's fantastic. We have another question. Hello again, Damon. When you do hire interns, what is their initial role? And do you have a career track or path at your firm that they can aspire to?
Sure. So when we hire interns, we hire them on as CSAs or client service associates. Um, Generally, um, the progression would be from CSA or client service associate to senior client service associate to either paraplanner or associate wealth advisor. And then from associate wealth advisor to wealth advisor, from wealth advisor to senior wealth advisor, and some of the senior wealth advisors ultimately become partners in the firm. So that is the career path. In a nutshell, it's generally years. We like all of our associate wealth advisors to have CFPs, so we will kind of help them and sponsor them kind of along that track. We have several client service associates now who are studying to get their CFP, who would like to ultimately be promoted to associate wealth advisors. So we have a couple folks on that track, and then we also have an investment professional track where again you come in as a client service associate, but then you kind of veer more towards the investment side, and that's whether you get your CFA, or we also have someone right now studying for their SEMA. But we do provide a couple different career paths for folks, and we try to really lay that out for them, and that's something that we've structured more so in the past several years. But providing that path and that structure, I have found that young folks really like just kind of having some structure and some guidance there, and laying out what the career trajectory can look like for them.
Very good. Okay, we have another question, and this is the time. If anyone has any other questions, to please submit them in the chat or in the Q&A queue. The question that we have from Diana. Hello, Diana. Do you have any experience hiring career changers? How did your firm decide to go for seniors instead of career changers?
We actually do have some experience in hiring career changers. Again, career changers aren't necessarily folks who would be in our internship program, but we have hired some career changers. We actually recently hired the chief operating officer of a law firm. Had this calling in life that he wanted to be a financial advisor. He obtained his CFP designation, and one of our advisors is the chair of the NAPFA Association, and he reached out to her, and she had a great conversation with him, and then he came in to meet with us, and we just decided to take a chance on him, and he's done a fantastic job. So yeah, we are open to career changers. There is, in my opinion, or I would say even documented, I mean, there's a shortage of advisors in our industry, and if you look at kind of some of the demographic trends, a lot of our advisors are reaching retirement age along with a lot of our clients. So, I would say wherever you can try to find talent, that's certainly what we have done. Even some of we've hired career changers. One person was just a tremendous in customer service, and we hired her just because we liked how well she did client service. And then we kind of worked with teaching her the finance aspect of it. So we do kind of look far and wide for talent, because for us, I mean, we believe if you have kind of the aptitude, some of the other parts of it you can learn. So yeah, I mean, we do go the more traditional route, and we do the interns. We do the interns through the schools, and the interns that at least have some inclination to want to be in financial services. But at the same time, we do keep our eyes open just for raw talent that we think maybe we could kind of mold into the financial services industry.
That certainly is very good to know. We definitely have had a lot of interest with even career changers coming into the BLX program. And some years we get, quite a few hired who are career changers, as well as, the students who are, potentially closer to graduation, the seniors, and even grads. But it is good to know that your approach is still open to, career changers that you feel would, align with what the talent and the skill set is that that you are that resonate with you, or or your staff. So thank you for pointing that out as well. And I just want to ask if there are any other questions for you to please go ahead and submit them. And we'll see if anything comes in the next minute or so. But Damon, I'll just put one other question out to you, and it's just more of a broad ask. If you have any advice to share with the group, what would that advice be?
My advice to the group would be to host a summer intern. It's been an extremely rewarding experience for us. I like to believe it's been an extremely rewarding experience for the interns who have come through our program. Many of them we stay in touch with to this day. But it's fun. They learn a lot. We learn a lot. We enjoy having young people here at the firm. It's just been extremely beneficial, and my biggest piece of advice would be just to do it. It's been we're very happy that we have, and we do it every year because it's been so rewarding for us. So my biggest piece of advice would just be to do it.
Very good. Thank you so much. And we don't have any other further questions. So I would just like to say thank you for sharing all of your golden nuggets, and really appreciate hearing your tips and giving some valuable insight to the way that you structure your program, as well as the outcomes that you were able to highlight. We absolutely are very, very excited to, have you also, participate with the BLX program. And we really hope that the firms that are listening that have heard about BLX, that they do sign up. And, just want to say a huge thank you for putting in your time to share your great experience. It's much appreciated.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Damon and Suzanne. Just a reminder, if you're interested in attending our next information session, we do have one on November 7th at 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. So we'll just explain, kind of how the process works if you're interested in hiring an intern this year. So definitely put that on your calendar, register for that event next week. And yeah, if that's it, then we will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.